Good afternoon to you all. Good evening, good morning, namaskar. I am Shripati, an expert engineer as a part of ICCW IITM Madras. I'm very glad that we are at the moment with 250 participants along with us in this webinar series on rainwater harvesting. Today we have the pleasure of inviting Shri Vijayraj of Rainy Filters, a product that has been used widely by the Indian rainwater harvesters, so to say. So before we hear a lot from Mr. Vijayraj, may I have the pleasure once again to invite Professor Pradeep to say a few words and inaugurate the session for the day. Thank you, Professor. Over to you.
Good afternoon, good evening, morning, wherever you are. It is always a pleasure to welcome speakers of eminence amongst us. And today, we are on the third day of this very important series. I spoke about water in the past few days. Today, I thought I will speak about an important aspect that is about the unsung heroes of the nation. Water, as I had been talking about, water does not belong to you and me. It belongs to this world because we don't make any fresh water molecule on the planet. We only recycle. There is no H2 plus O2 reaction going on at atmospheric temperature and pressure, making fresh water. It is always recycled. This water, we are enjoying this water, the boundless power of this precious resource, because of unsung heroes who have been practicing water harvesting in very many ways in different parts of the world. We have collected some of them together in this webinar series. First day, we had Mr. A.R. Shivakumar. Second day, we had Dr. Rajendra Singh. Today, we have Mr. Vijayraj. We continue on. We will have more people, and many unsung heroes of the nation are in fact joining on this webinar from different parts of the country. What I want to tell you is that in rainwater harvesting, there is something that each one of us can do. It does not require technology. It does not require academic prerequisites. It does not require a large financial investment. It just needs some action. And yesterday we saw how that action can transform the world. What I want to tell you is that I have seen very many of these action heroes in different parts of the country, but we don't celebrate them. One way to take rainwater harvesting to people is to celebrate these individuals. Their enormous passion for water. For example, Shivakumar was telling us that he has been living on rainwater for 20 plus years. Celebrate these heroes. And once we have that culture of celebration of issues of this kind, of people of this kind, of ideas of this kind, of technologies of this kind, of practical implementations of this kind, we will create a culture of rainwater harvesting. One other thing that's important for many of you to know is that it is not only service. Good service has also a good possibility of business. Water is not only good, but it's also good business. It is something that you can do, and with that, you can have a living too. And therefore, today's talk is even more important in this context of COVID confined situation, that many people are looking up to opportunities. You look at the country. I just was talking about 1.5 million schools in the country. They all need rainwater harvesting. But I'm so glad that this person, I was told, has been instrumental in having rainwater harvesting installations, not just one or two, 168,000 or so. So this is enormous passion, tremendous energy, and this has to replicate, and that is how India will transform. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor, for the enlightening, I would say, the introduction to this session, where you said good service is not only good service unless it is with good business potentials. And I believe Mr. Vijayraj has seen both the sides of good service as well as good business potential also in his endeavor of doing several rainwater harvesting installations across this country. Now may I invite Mr. Vijayraj to share his screen and share his thoughts on his ideas and his implementations that he has done across this country. And we will follow it up with a small question answer session at around 5:50, that is 5:50 p.m., so that we get into some good questions and get some answers as well. Over to Shri Vijayraj, please.
Good evening, everybody. Yesterday and day before yesterday, we had eminent speakers who enlightened us about the benefits of the rainwater harvesting. Today, we will be speaking more about the implementation part. What are the precautions we need to take during implementation? How do we recharge our dried borewells? How do you use our dried borewells as a recharging source and convert them into a recharging shafts? Now, as we all know that India is water starved today. Though we get an average annual rainfall of 1,170 mm, still there is water shortage everywhere. Why is this so? In the year 1947, when we had a population of just 30 crores, the per capita availability of the water was 5,000 meter cube. Today, with 1,130 plus crores population, our per capita availability of the water has gone down to about 1,500 meter cube. And anything below this will be a distress. So we are at a crucial junction wherein if we all don't join hands and do something about it, we will be heading towards a water-starved country. In India, we have always worshipped water. Here, Jal is Jagdish. And around the world, everybody is talking about water saving today. Though water saving, rainwater saving is not a rocket science. But if not implemented properly, why it is, though it is being such a wonderful thing, why it is not implemented everywhere? It was declared that shortly about 17 countries in the world will be, water distressed. India is one among them. Though we get about 4,000 billion meter cube of rainwater on this land, and another 4,000 billion cubic meters come from ice melting, as well as from the international waters. Still, we are facing a huge crisis in water. In India, every year we extract more than 1.5 times of the water from the groundwater than we are recharging. All dams, put together, or all lakes, dams, and all the water storing, structures put together, we are still could save only 250 billion meter cube liters of water, and rest all is going as waste. If we take recharging side, we are able to recharge only 450 billion cubic meters, whereas extraction is estimated to about 750 billion. So we are extracting 1.5 times more than what we are recharging. These have resulted in about 6,500 critical and dark zone blocks in India. On an average, we get about 45 days of rainfall pan-India, and there we get about 90% of our rainfall comes in this 45 days. In this, we want to stress upon more on agricultural water harvesting, because 65% to 70% of our water is being used by agriculture. The domestic and the industrial uses compared to that is very limited. So, it is more, we have to give stress so that, we save a lot of water in the agricultural fields, in the agricultural area where we recharge their borewells, construction of the ponds, construction of the open wells, which has been forgotten, our, age-old knowledge, which was, very more important link in the recharging. We have forgotten the open wells, which has led to the disaster also. And the storage, like, building of anecots and all those things which were discussed yesterday and day before yesterday. Just to give an example how the things can change, just to land, because, if we talk of water, Israel is the first thing that comes to us. Israel was just found in year 1935, and 2/3 of its land is dry or which gets very minimal rainfall, and 1/3 is the marshy land. With just 100 mm of rainfall, with their strategy to use the rainwater, to reuse the water and to reduce the consumption, today they are in a position to supply, they have got surplus water, which can be supplied to Jordan and Syria. If they can change the things, we with 1,170 mm of annual average rainfall, we can do wonders. Only thing is, where we have forgotten our knowledge, forgotten knowledge. Our forefathers were far, far more wiser than us, because if you take any temple in the country, they have got one temple tank, all the water used to come and which stored, and this was available for us in the distress. And this has been in the same case. Why then it has not been so popular? If rainwater has got such a beautiful reputation, or the water is such a fantastic water, why rainwater has been not very popular in India? Why everybody has not been implementing rainwater? Now, to give what is the potential of the rainwater, I'll be taking example of Bangalore because it is a lot of research, and we have got eminent persons like Dr. Shiv Kumar who have been putting a lot of efforts in educating people and doing a lot of research on the city. For Bangalore, we are taking, and this is the same scenario in every city. Because Bangalore, we have got data available, I'm sharing with you, and it can be replicated in the same city, and it talks about the same city. Same scenario in every cities, urban cities. In Bangalore, the water comes from Kaveri from about 108 kilometers. We get about 1,250 mld of water every day. The water has to be pumped for about 1,000 feet height. And every day we spend about 13 crore plus on electricity bill alone. Forget about the capex and all required to pump, make these kind of structures. And we remove, they say we get about 450 to 500 million liters from the ground. So it comes to about more than as about 1600 to 1650 mld of water, which is required for Bangalore every day. Just theoretically, if you assume that if Bangalore is covered with a plastic sheet, just whole Bangalore is covered with a plastic sheet, and the amount of the rainfall that is falling on that, means we generally get about 980 mm of water. The amount of the water that falls on that plastic sheet, if it is stored, recharged and reused, we don't need any Kaveri at all. We can supply double the water that is required for Bangalore. About 3000 mld of water, they say, can be supplied to Bangalore for 365 days. That is the potential of the water. Rainwater. This can be with even 500 mm of rainfall also. This can be replicated. If we are able to store, means likewise what we had earlier days, those days when Kempegoda found this beautiful city, he had thousands of lakes around. Though Bangalore is not an, we don't have any much perennial rivers. It was self-sufficient. And then we forgot this, and as in 1970s, once this Borewali started, everywhere we thought that borewell is the ultimate, and we started drilling. They say there are more than 22 lakh borewells, accounted borewells in Bangalore alone. So imagine how much the things are going this one. Now coming to the this one, Bangalore, though it has been every city has got a mandate that we should do rainwater harvesting. With the mandate, still that every house with about floor area of 2,400 square feet, it is mandatory that they should have the rainwater harvesting. Though being pushed very hard with all the fines and all, before few months back, about 15 crore rupees of fine was collected for not having done rainwater. People today are ready to pay the fine, but I don't know what stops them from adopting rainwater. They can save on their pockets also. They can save on the power also. India still is a power-starved country also. We in Bangalore, Shivkumar sir will endorse this one. We have reached about 1,800 feet. In some places, 1,800. Out of the 10 borewells that have been done, out of them 6 borewells fail during the drilling stage only. 4 borewells in which we get water, 2 borewells fail within 1 year. Only 2 borewells. So the strike rate is only 20%. Still people, Bangalore is blessed, or many of our cities, our urban cities are blessed with so much of water. Still we are not understanding the potential of water. I feel because we have been implementing throughout the country, I feel there are 2 or 3 reasons for this. One is the poor implementation of the rainwater harvesting, and then somewhere the filter also plays a vital role. And then though we have been educating people about the broader prospects of the rainwater harvesting, but the fine tuning has not been done. It has not reached to the man on the field. He is not understood, because I was seeing in Calcutta when I had gone during under a metro station, it was raining that day. And during under the metro station, a tanker was coming and feeding one of the hotels there. And lot of water next to his, in front of his hotel, a 6 inches pipe, the whole water was gushing out. He's paying for the water, and the same water is gushing out, and it's causing waterlogging somewhere. So, people have not applied their mind, though it is not a rocket science, as I told you. The application of the mind, the application of the common sense has not been done. As here you can see in this picture, it is a simple this one logic in the urban and the cities, wherein you just interconnect all the downtake pipes, bring it to a common horizontal pipe, interconnect them, and then put as any of the filters and leave the water to your sump. Overflow from the sump can be let into the borewell or to the open well. Now what happens is, when you are installing, generally we are used to install that C-clamps to the pipes. But when you are installing this horizontal pipe, we have to take care, because when you are installing this horizontal pipe, you can see here, we have to put proper L clamps, proper holding clamps which can sustain the weight of the pipe. Because when you are putting a horizontal pipe, the weight of the pipe and the water is on that clamping system. With the new buildings coming up with the hollow blocks, generally people have started using hollow blocks. If the clamping system is not properly, pitched in, then these pipes come out. We have seen that in 1 year, 1.5 years of the installation, these pipes generally come off, and the whole system has gone for a toss. Second is, generally what happens is, in the urban areas, wherever we are putting in the public domain, in the public domain, what happens is, we are generally using these kind of the filters, wherein generally the conventional kind of filters, wherein all the dust debris come and settle down there, and all the leaves and everything comes then settles down there. So if you are not able to clean after every rainfall, then they start getting decayed. Or this fine thin layer of the fine dust is formed that will restrict the water to flow down to the filtration bed. So there is regular maintenance after, because of the lot of trees and lot of leaves coming down. Every time you have to go and remove, which in urban it becomes very difficult, and in the public domain particularly when you are installing into the hospitals, schools and all, they don't maintain it properly. Then it becomes obstructions, because a lot of filters they come here. In every filter in India available, you can find there are ball walls here. So the dust debris, everything, you have to go and open these ball walls after every rainfall, or frequent cleaning has to be done to drain out all these leaves, dust and debris. So if not done, this this whole system gets into the trouble. So quite to the contrary, after severe research, a filter has been developed which works on centrifugal force and cohesive force. And this, what happens is, if you can see here, all the water that enters into this filters, all dust debris, everything is thrown off, and the clean water comes on the other side. So the maintenance becomes less. Here you can see the ball wall is provided at the clean water outlet, so that first flush can you can do the first flush kind of a thing, but not in the drain water outlet, wherein all dust debris, everything falls out automatically. Here the advantage of this filter, one more, is first 90 seconds water always goes out, then only the water starts coming in. So the first flush also is taken place. Now coming to the installation part, generally when you are installing, as I said earlier, every 1 meter, this kind of L clamps has to be provided. If you can see, these kind of L clamps, if it is provided, and the proper gradient has to be given, for every 50 feet, at least 1 feet of, 1:50, the gradient has to be there. If there is a sufficient gradient, there will not be any choking of the this one, and we get enough and more height, because of the water column is there. We are getting the water from huge heights. If proper gradient is given, there will never be choking up. And the selection of the pipe is very important. Here the selection of the pipe is the main priority. When you are joining the pipes, you have to see what is the kind of the water we are getting. Accordingly, we have to calculate in the free flow. Because on an average, we can take it as for 25 mm, 1 square feet of roof area, we get about 2 liters of water. So if you have got 1000 square feet of roof area, generally about 2000 liters of water per 25 mm. But when you are designing the system, always it is better that we take the intensity of the rainfall at 50 mm. If you have got a 50 mm of the rainfall, the whole system should be able to sustain. Then only what happens, implementation becomes easy and sustainable. We have seen implementation which we have implemented 20 years back also. Today also they are working fantastically well. So the implementation, one is the diameter of the pipe, and we have to calculate about 50 mm of the rainfall. So means 1 square feet we have to take as 4 liter we will be getting in 25 mm of rainfall, and the tank size. Generally, according to the international standard, 50 mm of the rainfall. If you have got 1000 square feet, 4 liters into 4 liters of per square feet. So into 1000 square feet, about 4000 liters. So maximum tank means minimum tank size we require is at least 4000 liters of the tank for the rainwater harvesting. Generally in Bangalore, we have seen that people are using all the regularly existing sump only. They are they're filtering the water, putting this water to the existing sump only. From there, overflow is sent to the borewells. Likewise, we have to design the tank size. Here, many of the states now have awakened for the rainwater harvesting, and they have started giving. One of the first states to announce the subsidy for rainwater harvesting, piping, as well as the filters was Bhubaneswar, Orissa, wherein each and every house was paid 45,000 rupees as subsidy to implement the rainwater. We installed more than about 2 lakh installations over there. With our wide network of the, and we train plumbers also. So, they have implemented more than 2 lakh installations in Bhubaneswar. And coming back to the, agriculture field, generally what we see is, per acre of land, just 25 mm, we get 1 lakh liters of water. Out of that, 20 to 30% percolates. Rest all goes as, runoff water. During runoff water, there is one more loss we are incurring, because when the water runs off, it is taking the topmost soil also. The So the farmer is, deprived of the top soil also. The top fertile soil is also going on. If you are able to, do the rainwater harvesting it properly in the farm, which doesn't cost much, with minimal investment, they can do rainwater harvesting. Even at 500 mm of rainfall, if you take the lowest, some parts, except for the few parts in Rajasthan and Gujarat, 500 mm is, even in the majority of the areas of Rajasthan, you get about 500 mm of rainfall. So on an average, on an acre of land, 20 lakh liters of water is falling. Out of that, even if you take 30% as loss, still you're able to get about 14 lakh liters of water which is going. If you are able to save this water, because if you take most drought area also, once in 3 years you have got flooding there. So during the flooding, if you are able to push this water into the ground, then we can recoup it backly. One of the best examples, we did it in Hyderabad, in Gachibowli area, which is on a Deccan Plateau rocks. We had hard rocks there, and then water is available at more than 1,200 feet. We installed our innovative injection well, wherein in this injection well, what we are doing is we are just bypassing this overburden, which is non-permeable zone of the clay mixed soil and hard rock portion, and reach the just first permeable zone, wherein you have got fractures or cracks or sandy loam soil, and leave the water there. Thereafter, the water gets filtered through the earth crust and then reaches the aquifer, which may be deeper of 500 or 1,000 feet. So here, generally what happens is, if you see this, everywhere it is advocated that we should make pits and leave the water. Pits is very good for subsurface recharging. If you have the open wells, then if you make continuous pits, it will help you in getting the water for open wells. Subsurface will be recharged. But what has happened is, with the advent of the time and with the borewells, we have forgotten open wells. Our all open wells have become one dustbins. If you are able to revive our open wells, we will be able to get water in them for about 8 to 9 months. Only because we were not getting water for last 3-4 months, this well system started failing. People started forgetting the wells. But now what we suggest is, in Bangalore, or as Vishwanath always suggests, that we should go for 1 million wells in Bangalore, so that you can avoid the flooding, as well as whole of the water table can be brought. You need not bring water from anywhere else. You will have sufficient and more water here. There will be no water logging. So likewise, we this pits, recharging pits, what we are talking, which has been advocated everywhere, can be used for subsurface recharging. But after that, the water, even after 20 feet, 40 feet, the water doesn't percolate, because we have the clay mixed soil in the majority of the areas, and then we have got rocks below. So the water is not reaching to the aquifer, means this is not recharging our borewells as much. Because, for example, if we have got many lakes here which are as deep as more than 30 feet, 25, 30 feet, and 365 days there is water. But in the vicinity of that lakes, we don't find water. The borewells are as deep as 1,000 feet. This means to say, just by putting pits, we are not able to recharge the borewells. Here in the injection well, what we do is, you can see on the left hand side of the screen, these are the injection well concept, wherein you have got a proper silt trap system. Otherwise, what happens is, when you are making a pit, when there is no silt trap system, if there is a 20 feet deep pit and which is filled with brickbats, rocks and filtration units, the water comes, and with the silt, within 1 or 2 rainfall or 3 rainfalls, there is a layer of this fine sand fine soil which accumulates on the top, and which becomes impervious. So we have seen that what lot of pits which have been done are defunct today. So what we recommend is, if you have a silt trap which is accessible, which with the accessibility, this can be cleaned once or twice in a year, so that the water enters, and by siphoning effect the water rises back. So the settlement is there in the silt trap, and then it comes to the main injection well or this one, so that it will avoid choking of the main recharging structure. In the injection well, what we do is, after a vertical electric sounding, a geophysical survey, we find the first permeable zone, and then we drill up to that zone, 8.5 inches that is drilled, and then we provide a perforated pipe up to that. In 8.5 inches, we just provide 5 inches pipe, and rest space is filled with pebbles. And then at the entry point and the bottom point, we provide one V-wire screen, which is a special component which is flat. If you can see here, it is externally flat and internally V-shaped, so that then lot of water can enter into it, but it doesn't allow sand and dust particles to enter because of its formation. And huge water can enter into this. This is the typical injection well, you can see here the water whichever is flowing, the channels are made so that you can supply this water to the silt trap. From the silt trap, the water is allowed to pass into the main injection well. Here the filtration media is only at the top. We fortify this filtration media using a chlorinated activated carbon. We use charcoal, then we use silica sand, then use pebbles and all. So we fortify this filtration media, and then next this whole well is kept empty, so that it can store the water, and then slowly the water can percolate. This act as we call it as injection well, because that it will create that kind of water column because of its height. It creates that kind of water column which helps in pushing the water into the deeper layers. So when you measure this pressure at the bottom of about then we have about 4 to 5 hours of pressure which can push this water into the dried zone or this one, and then thereafter it gets filtered through the earth crust and go into the deeper aquifer. This we have installed more than 18,000 injection well in last about 18 years we have been doing it. It has been very well accepted, and it next to the drinking water borewells about 18 to 25 feet depending upon the geologist advice. It has been drilled. Many of the drinking water borewells in government of Karnataka's rural drinking water scheme has been adopted by this technology, and it has been very successful. You can see here, and this is a typical picture of how this injection well in the field. If you had seen this nala, otherwise would have taken this water into the gradient. You can see it would have just water would have from the beside the borewell. This is the drinking water borewell here, which supplies water to a village. The water would have gone down to the low-lying area down there somewhere. Now what we have done is, after the proper geophysical survey, after the geophysical survey, the whole water is now allowed into the silt trap, which is constructed in the storm drain only. And there are a lot of pits which are made before this, so that water enters into the pit, and by the time the water is coming to this area, the water is pretty clean. This water enters the silt trap, and from here the water goes to the injection well. And because it is in the very nearby this one, and it is just allowed to go to the first permeable zone, thereafter the water gets filtered through the earth crust and go. If you take 1 meter by 1 meter of compressed earth, that compressed earth is the best filter compared to any other filters available on the earth. The compressed earth, then when the water passes through that, any of the impurities left over can be filtered, and then it goes slowly, takes its own sweet time to reach the aquifer. By that time the water is pretty clean. These are the first of its kind 2 rigs in the world probably. Rigs are generally meant to remove the water on the earth, from the earth. But generally these are the first 2 rigs developed, especially designed, wherein they are the only rigs in the world which is meant only for recharging. They are being used only for recharging. Not even a single drop of water is removed using these rigs. So these are the kind of the equipments that have been specialized and developed, so that we can go for a perfect. These are the few of the case studies which will be discussing, both in the urban areas, in the lower area, in the rural areas, where this kind of injection well has been installed, where whole of their surface runoff water is used. What we do is, when the surface runoff water is taken, we see that the entry point is about 1 or 2 inches depending upon the area, calculated catchment area, so that the first few of rainfall drains out. Only then, when the water rises to the little this one, it goes. Then a proper filtration media is installed, and then the water is taken care. We have seen injection wells which are able to take 3,000 liters per hour to about 2 lakh liters of injection. One injection well which we did to a nearby village in Tibegur, then it had a potential of taking 2 lakh liters per hour. That kind of potential it was, this one. And this has been installed in all the districts, major districts of the country, wherein it has been proved, and then it has been taken into the different. This has been particularly now used even for water logging, which will come later. This is one of the case studies done for a rural agricultural bore which was dried for a Bettamaraya near Tumkur, wherein when we met our as a secretary, who was the secretary, Mr. Naveen Raj Singh, was the secretary for water those times. And when we gave him the presentation, he said, "I don't believe your presentations and all. I want one practical thing. I will give you one dried borewell. If you are able to rejuvenate that, then I will think that this technology is successful." So this Betamaraya's land, he had about 2 acres of land, and this whole he had about 3 borewells. all of them had died. His son had moved to Bangalore for working because his borewells were not working. So what we did was we took up his borewell as a pilot study under him. He said he will be personally monitoring this system. Then we could recharge his system with, we had a very good rainfall for 2 seasons, and his water table with the right borewell had water. Then we even adopted the sprinkler system, and we adopted, because the water table came up, we could install the solar system. You can see on the right hand side, we could install the solar system and the sprinkler system for that. If you can see, only his land is green. On the back side, you can see this was a photo taken in that summer. So he had a summer crop because he had enough of water. So this is how it was successful, and then thereafter, he was one of our person who advocated this injection wells for everywhere, wherever he used to take the. These are the rooftop installations, wherein the whole of this rooftop installation after proper filtration in an IT industry has been used for drinking also. People have got some apprehension about the drinking, but if the water is given proper treatment and then pass through common means, our Shukumar sir has been a live example from last 20 years plus. He has been using this water alone, and his health means he is healthier than anyone of us. So these are some rural installations. Many of the rural borewells have been installed with this kind of. This is a CEO in Chamarajanagar. We installed more than about 240 injection well, wherein a team from Times of India visited this because we had applied for Care Award. So they said we want to visit and we want to check on the ground. About team of 12 members came from and which had an eminent scientist from CE. And everybody, they visited, and where we had done in 2010, they visited in 2012. Then they could see that only the borewells which were adopted by V-wire injection well, because those 2 years were the drought there, and there was very scanty rainfall. So only those borewells which had this injection well were working. So in this we got an Earth Care Award, and Times of India was even awarded as 5 lakh rupees cash prize for this one. This whole thing, the whole majority of the villages they adopted, and then they were extended. So this has been tried and proved. Now, in what happens is generally in urban areas, you see these are the software companies wherein they had a lot of water moving out of their campuses, because there are huge campuses which are about 300 acres, 400 acres sometimes. Lot of water move out of their campus because all majority of them they have got more than 10-20% of the paved areas. Then they have got buildings, and then the rest is open area. But still, there, because of the lot of movement of the water, there used to be huge this one. So we have installed this V-wire screen in this areas also, then recharge. One of the IT sites in Chennai, there 40% with 25,000 seats, there 40% of annual requirement is met by rainwater. That is one of a beautiful case study, in Mahindra city, wherein 25,000 seats and there 40% of annual requirement of water is met by rainwater alone. So that is this is from that side, wherein you can see that what we did was even their rooftop water. If you see, their whole of their rooftop water is brought in to the piping, and then they have been stored. The huge tanks that we have constructed here in this campus, we had constructed about 3,25,000 liters tank, and every rainfall of 25 mm they get about that much of water, which is used for their ECC, for their stay, and their rainwater is stored and then being used. These are the low costing tanks we have adopted for rainwater, because what has happened is now return of investment is being also calculated in these companies. So unless we are able to break their return of investment, and we are sure that the return of investment, it is one of the best return of investment you can get, even compared to any of your investment, gold or bank or anything. We have seen that their return of investment on the huge structures like this also is 3.5 years, because they are buying water from outside. Their cost of water per kiloliter is around 100 to 150 rupees. So they are saving the huge water cost, and within 3 years they are getting their return on investment. So that is one of the factors. You can see this is a huge shed which has got about 3,60,000 square feet of roof area. So every small rainfall of 25 mm, they get about 7 lakh liters of water. You can see all these pipes have been interconnected properly, clamped, and proper piping size has been taken, and this water comes. So one more thing we have to take care of this is, when you are going for large installations like this, we have to provide the overflow system. You can see here there is an overflow system. This is very much important because what happens is, one is that it will act as air blockage if there will be, because when you're running pipe of about 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, lot of air blockages will be there, or even if you're crossing 100 feet, there needs to be a air vent. So if you are able to provide these kinds of overflow pipes, this will act as air vent also, and also you can see this is it is raised above little and then it is lowered again. So whenever there is a heavy downpour, because recently it happened that in 3 hours we got about 104 of rainfall. In those kind of situation, or there if there is a cloud burst and all, this water can will not damage the pipe, and at least this water can this is a safety system that should be adopted in each and every installation. For a small houses it is okay.
We have another 5 more minutes for the presentation.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So this is also one of the factories, one more factory where you can see all the water is brought into one chamber jackwell system. From the jackwell system, it is pumped. These are the bigger kind of filters which are about 500 meter cube, 100 meter cube. 5 lakh liters of water can be pumped in 1 hour. That kind of filters are custom made by us, and we can use it for this. This is one of the garments factories wherein they had a water crisis. Today they are water self-sufficient. We are using we are putting water meters which are the crucial part of our installation, because anything which can be measured can only be saved. So you can see this water meters been installed, and we try to use lot of HDP pipes, because their durability is, their life is more than 40 years and they are non-carcinogenic. And this, you can see the air vents here. I have shown you this because easy installations, once the clamping system and the air vent system, and if they are in place, nothing can happen. A system can run up to 40 years without any intervention. Here on this right hand side, you can see the jackwell system, wherein whole the pumping system is there with all the precautionary measures, wherein this pumps the water to the filtration system, and from these are the customized filters for the larger areas, and then this water can, and then when you have got a smaller areas, you can have the parallel filters. You can install a lot of parallel filters like this, and then you can run into a main line, and then water can be let into the, and we have installed more than, in Karnataka alone, 3,600 schools we have installed. Here what we have done is, if you can see, there is a pump system, hand pump. These are hand pumps. We have made a tank below, and here we said that children should earn water, not get water. Only when they earn water, they will be saving water. So we installed this system with hand pump system. Whole of this roof water is collected through the gutter. Here a proper clamping system is very, very important during the installation. If you don't do proper clamping, any of the beautiful system you put will be of waste. And then you have got filter, which is under lock and key, because these are in the public domain. And then you have got the hand pump system. These are done in the Assam, wherein a whole rooftop water is brought, and then the tank is on a stand, and then the 10,000 liters tank is proposed, and then filter is put at the top, so that they can use this water. These are in the individual houses. You can see, there are a lot of benefits. We have done it in the whole of the all the railway stations, where they had a lot of in February onwards, they had a lot of salinity problem in their wells in that Madgaon, means that Konkan railway zone. Though they had enough of rainfall, about 3,000 of rainfall, but what happens is, after the summer season, because of the laterite and they're nearer to the sea side, there are a lot of salinity ingress into the wells. So what we did was, we installed this rainwater harvesting system in all of their railway colonies, in the railway stations, and this water was let into the well. So we could avoid a lot of seawater, means salinity ingress into the wells. These are into the major factories. You can see a lot of series of filters have been adopted at the various levels, different zones. This is one of the unique swimming pool, indoor swimming pool in one of the places in Hassan in Karnataka, wherein this swimming pool, like our Shiv Kumar sir's this one, doesn't have got any of the water connection. Though it is a swimming pool, this one, though they require a lot of water, they don't have got any borewell and no connection. Only the roof water which is there. They have got 2 lakh liters of the sump they have made, and whole of the water is brought, and then it is stored into the 2 lakh liters, and they have got excess and more water which they give it to the society nearby. These are into the one United Breweries factory. You will be surprised to know that in this, the whiskey, they use this water for making whiskey, because they need not treat water, because as you all know, rainwater has got very less TDS and demineralized water. So for them, the treatment and the wastage of the water is less. So they may have made 4 lakh liters of tank and store this water, and they're just filtering it, the primary filtration they do, and they're using it for their process. So they are saving on huge processing cost, electricity cost, and the water wastage. Because what happens is when you are passing the water and making it, demineralized water, huge 50% of the water goes waste, as you all know. This can be saved. And one more utility of the injection well, now it has been found in the urban areas. You can see our present Bangalore Commissioner, Mr. Anil Kumar. Here what happens is, if you see, in all the urban areas, there is lot of water logging in the cities because we don't allow any place for percolation. So during underpasses generally get flooded, huge flooded, and then the movement of the passenger people is a huge problem. Here you can see what we did was we installed one injection well in the underpass. In the underpass, we installed the injection well. This is the sill trap. This is the oil and grease chamber. And then what happened was the injection well was made. So what happens is now whenever there is a rainfall, there is not even a single drop of water accumulates in this injection well. Otherwise, earlier they had to pump every time when it used to rain, and during heavy rainfall there was always power cut because of the tree falling, and there used to be flooding and lot of loss to the life and property. Now with these kinds of, it has been taken up as a pilot project in majority of the underpasses. It has been installed. And it has been taken world, means all over pan India. These are the few photographs wherein it's shown that it has been widely accepted at the different places. We have got one research station at Chikmagalur wherein we are training the people who want to learn rainwater harvesting, because as rightly said earlier by our professor sir, today it is a very good business opportunity, and we need millions of people who become as a rainwater warriors and as a business entrepreneurs. We don't need much of money today. Just they can come, get trained. Hardly they require about 5,000-10,000 rupees to start a business, and they can earn a very good money. People are making career out of this, and it is in the interest of the nation also, because one plumber trained, even if it does 100 houses, even if you say we are saving 1 lakh, 1 crore liter, one plumber can do that. We need these kind of people. So we have got a training center at our Chikmagalur. Anybody who can be trained free of cost. A research center is there. We train them, and we encourage them to take up this as a job. If anybody are interested, kindly share our numbers. They can come, their home, their stay, their food will be taken care. They will be trained, and they can come back to their cities, and they can be a water warrior there. They can be a rainwater person who can implement the rainwater. They can educate the people. They can be a mouthpiece for rainwater harvesting. This is how we can solve the crisis of the India today. With 1,170, India cannot. If anybody says today that India will be water starved tomorrow, I don't believe it. I am very confident India will be water surplus with the kind of the efforts our ICCW has been putting, and with the kind of we can see Dr. Rajendra Singh, Shiv Kumar sir, everybody are putting. We need now the people who can work on the ground. We have to prepare the persons who can implement them. So now we have to work towards that. Thank you all. Thank you all so much.
Huge amount of confidence that we are not going to get water starved by any means.
Yes.
And excellent insight on how capacity building skill development for plumbers or the contractors or the helpers and operators are really required, and how free it is available. Free of cost it is available. And we urge all of the participants to get in touch with ICCW and probably with you also directly to find out how this could be taken up in the next coming days and weeks, and before the southwest and northeast monsoon gets underway. We will have to start working on it and get something useful immediately. While we have a set of questions already lined up from several of our participants, Professor Pradeep, do you have any specific question to Mr. Vijayraj? Probably.
Let's take the questions from the attendees first, and then we'll come back.
I have noted one question which says that if rainwater harvesting is being practiced, how we can get rid of fluorosis in the rain-fed areas and the arid areas. When we do rainwater harvesting as a technique or a system, how do we get rid of fluorosis in these kind of areas? That is
Yes, sir. Sir, we have tried this process in the Pavagada areas wherein we have got lot of fluorosis problem. Though that is we get about not more than 500 means 380 to 500 of rainfall. All this water during we selected few of the borewells. It was a case study which we can give it to you. Wherein all this water, as in the injection well next to the borewell, we pumped in lot of water, and because of the dilution effect, we could see the results in next 2 seasons. Even we have seen when we had lot of hard water also. Wherever we have installed injection well, we could see the results. We have checked it. We have got the results wherein we have taken the water samples before recharging and the water samples during the rainfall, rainy days, and after recharging. We could see because of the dilution effect, because the rainwater is demineralized water with hardly very low TDS, and when we are mixing with the concentrated of this. One is that when the water is going inside, when the pressure is created, it tries to push the water. Means we have got a clean water surrounding, because first water moves from higher concentration to lower concentration. It is trying to push the water, and then second, because of the dilution effect, we have seen a lot of changes. With
So this,
yes,
this is from area of the question is it is Madhya district.
yes, sir, yes, sir.
Of course, the
We have got a lot of examples there, sir.
yeah, the second question which I picked up from the Q&A box is, do we have any other alternative rigid type of pipe fixing materials when we have the construction with hollow blocks?
So what we have done is we have specially designed one L-clamp system with anchor bolting. So then when we are using hollow blocks also, these have been sustained. Actually, they have sustained load up to 200 of pipes also with the 10 kg pressure gauge, which are very heavy pipes. They have sustained. So it is the L-clamp system, which are hot spray galvanized powder coated, which has got life of 20 years. So and aesthetically also, it will not spoil the beauty of the house, because the people are more worried about the aesthetics than the rainwater. So we have addressed both. Now we can share a few of the picture. We can share it with all our viewers. We'll share a few pictures where beautifully done systems.
Somebody is asking, how do you compare your filters with the conventional types of filters that are available in the market?
Our filters are only self-cleaning, maintenance-free. Once installed for lifelong, there is no consumables required. In the conventional filters, they are also very good filters. But what happens is, if you are able to maintain after every rainfall, if you are able to go and remove all the dust and debris, even they work fantastically well. But in the public domain, where you are installing, there is no proper maintenance. In those areas, what happens is, our filters, because they are self-cleaning, maintenance-free, all dust, debris up to 250 microns automatically goes out of the system. And first few seconds of water, means 90 seconds of water in the first rain, whenever it rains, first 90 seconds water goes out, then only the water starts coming in. This doesn't require any power. There is no consumables required, nothing to replace for next 40 years. That's how they stand little unique.
One question from Professor from University of Allahabad.
Yes, sir.
What is the pipe materials when you have PVC or iron pipe? What is the process of contamination, particularly the fluoride, when you have such a type of piping in the rainwater harvesting systems? How this contamination is avoided?
So generally, they say that these recently a lot of studies have gone into it. Ki PVC pipes, using PVC pipe exposed to the sun is carcinogenic. World over, if you see, there are a lot of people are using HDP pipes, high density polyethylene pipes, and which have got long durability also. Because they are UV treated. Even if they are exposed outside, they don't get brittle or no. So UV treated high density polyethylene pipe is the best alternative to the PVC pipe, which are being made. We have developed lightweight UV treated high density polyethylene pipe. Generally, HDP pipes are heavy, but we have developed first of its kind a lightweight HDP pipe, and they are collar system, coupling system. So any plumber can just couple it and do it. We don't require experts to do it. Earlier, what happens? HDP pipe has got lacuna because we had to heat it and butt weld it. Now, because of the collar system developed, and the cost has been drastically, it is with par with the PVC pipes. So using HDP pipe will solve majority of the problems.
So you mentioned about the number of borewells in Karnataka, 1 lakh and above. do we have a database already available for the entire country? So many borewells are there, so many open wells are there. What do we do with it? Do we have potential to recharge so many things like this? Is there potential to do some database search on this?
Unfortunately, we don't have that kind of database available. But if like-minded people have joined, then we have got water warriors everywhere. We can try and effort to do it. It will, as you rightly said, unless we count it, we will not be able. Unless we measure it, we will not be able to do it. And there are enormous number of dried borewells. These are the source for our recharging because they have dried a zone. Because if you take in my own city, I will find at least 1 or 2 lakh dried borewells. These are already invested 80% of the money. Now only filtration system, and then we have to put activated carbon and filter the water properly, oil and grease chambers properly installed, and leave this water. Use this as a potential instead of somebody leaving it open and somebody falling and dying, which we hear it. Why don't we use it as recharging shafts? Tremendous potential we have.
One of our team is asking a question. Is it safe to harvest rainwater during this pandemic time?
See, as we rightly said, what happens is research has to be done because at pandemic times we don't know how the COVID reacts. But as far as the E. coli and other things we have done a lot of studies. Because we are not going to the aquifer here, even if the aquifer is at 400 feet, we are just reaching the first permeable zone. Thereafter, as I said, water gets filtered through the earth crust. A compacted earth is more than any of your RO filter also. So the water, when it is going tickling slow down, it gets filtered. A lot of studies we have done, a study borewells also in the agriculture field where they're using a lot of pesticides and all. We did a study borewell to study what is the impact of the water going into that and how does it happen. So it is safe. E. coli and all those other parameters are safe. COVID and all, probably a lot of studies still we have to go. We are still in a very immature stage. I really
don't have any.
Well, Sripati, you're asking me, or I couldn't hear you.
Professor, over to you.
Okay, fantastic. Your presentation was with full of energy, enthusiasm, and lots of activities can be undertaken. Let me ask a couple of things. What you touched upon in the context of fluoride, what it obviously suggests is that water quality in that given region has been changing. And it is possible that one can reverse contamination as a result of rainwater harvesting. There is a need for certain systematic studies. Now that you have done a huge number of these installations, what is the potential of such studies, and what way that we can nationally say that one can reverse such water quality issues by scientific recharging?
Excellent. Sir, we have a lot of data available with us because we have done more than 18,000 borewells from the year 2002. A lot of studies have been done. Farmers are there who are have known what kind of the cropping pattern was there, how much hardness was there, how their hardness has come down, and then we have studied. Here, as we said earlier, we have been studying few of the borewells. Study borewells are there around. So we are studying the impact year by year. We have got all those data, and we welcome any of the research students who want to be with us and do these kind of studies. We can provide them a lot of study borewells there, and lot of in their places only, because we have pan-India presence. So we can ask the students, anybody who wants to do a Pakka study also, they can join us, and we'll provide them all the facilities, whatever is needed.
Very nice. Now, one of the concerns that people have been saying is that rainwater harvesting is great. If you do it in farmlands, when water is available, people go back and use their, do their traditional agriculture. Maybe rice, maybe cotton, maybe sugarcane. That is probably not the right approach to follow. So you, along with farmland rainwater harvesting, you also would be suggesting what kind of agricultural practices are required. Can you please comment on this?
We are working on this in a great way, sir. What we have done is we have put about 10 demo working units which go from village to village and educate people. We have made small videos presentable and tell them that India has got surplus of sugar and rice. And we cannot waste water on this, and because our cultivation practices are also very bad. The 1 kilo of rice in India requires about 4 to 5,000 liters of water, whereas in China the same 1 kilo of rice is grown at 350 liters. So the practices also need to be changed. So what we are doing is because of these 10 demo autos, we are let it into the villages from every part of the country. They are moving. By this end of year, we'll be having about 22 numbers. Wherein we have projector screen and then we show them. See, there are two ways we have to address. One is to reduce the water consumption, and second is to recharge and reuse. So this is how we are tackling it.
Farmers also have to be directed to new kind of agricultural practices and probably new crops, and that's a very difficult thing for many of them to do because they have been practicing for ages.
Correct, sir.
So
correct.
What kind of mechanisms can we introduce is also a question, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Here, I think at least in making this awareness, government should play a vital role because.
Right. I have one more small thing that many people have been asking about the cost. Can you please comment on the cost in terms of something like units of 1,000 square feet or something?
If you take a small house of about 1,000 square feet, or one means minimum 30 by 40, generally 1,200 square feet, the installation cost along with the pipeline filter will not cost you more than 15,000 rupees. It is one-time investment wherein, with the Chennai rainfall, you will get 1,60,000 liters of water. With Bangalore rainfall means about...
if somebody comes and gives 15,000 rupees, will it be possible to implement by you?
Yeah, a small house of 30 by 40 means 1,200 square feet.
And also people are interested in knowing how much of, can we have, do we have pan-India subsidy or only in Orissa?
No, sir. Only in Orissa there is subsidy. In pan-India, there is no subsidy. It is unfortunate to tell you that GST on implementation of rainwater is 18%, which is very unfortunate. I have been advocating and pushing hard.
Well, we will take it to the government.
Yeah, please, I request all the participants who are there to push it so that the cost will come down still further. In 15,000, another 1,500 can be reduced if you are able to push it to 5% at least.
Very nice. Thank you. And over to you, Sripati.
I would like to apologize to all the participants with the slew of questions that you have been asking, and we don't have that much of time to pose all these questions to Mr. Vijayraj. I would take this opportunity to take all these questions on our web platform that we have already been recording all this. We will pose all these questions and get back to you in the quick time possible in terms of the answers that are available with us.
One point is that when in asking questions, I have summarized many of those questions also. Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So, right now, when we were completing your presentation, we had around 450 participants in the platform with us. And we thank you, Mr. Vijayraj, for your insight on the various case studies that you have been doing. And we look forward to associating with you in a long way in the coming days to.
Our pleasure, sir. Our pleasure.
Now I request Dr. Ramya Divedi to some session and request her to say something about the update for tomorrow.
Hello, everybody, and I would like to thank Mr. Vijayraj for his wonderful talk. Some more hand-holding in rainwater harvesting implementation that we have had for the past 2 days, and you have done a wonderful job, sir. A lot of motivation to all of us. And I would like to highlight one of your points where you said a message to children, earn your water. I think it is a message to the whole nation. We should get that across where we begin to respect our water. That will happen when we earn our water. So thank you once again. And to brief you for tomorrow's talk, we have Mr. Shekar Raghavan. 48-year-old Shekar Raghavan in 1995 was surprised to find that the water in his tap was running salty. In spite of living in coastal place Besant Nagar in Chennai, he is always used to having sweet water since his childhood. He began to wonder what is happening, and that led him on to a journey that we call it as the journey of his life. So he is the Rain Man of Chennai, and I request all our participants to join us tomorrow to hear his lecture and also spread the word about this webinar series where we not just take the learnings, but we are going to act and implement. Thank you once again from ICCW team. Thank you all.